Okay, are we recording? Bet. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Long time no see. Don't be mad, please. I can explain. Okay, this is not a typical podcast episode. This is just me getting back into my long form content bag. Honestly, like, this is not even gonna be like edited and clipped up and stuff like that. This is really just me sitting down, getting my thoughts off with what I'm thinking at the moment. There have been a lot of different transitions going on in my life in the past couple of months, and I'm like, you know what? I got to get back in my long form bag, okay? Because I'm such a chatty patty, and I have so many different things to talk about, and I'm like, girl, you need to stop talking about this stuff with yourself and get back in front of the camera, and really just talk to your audience about these things. So yes, we are restructuring the podcast. Don't worry. I mean, I guess y'all could consider this to be like a podcast episode. I don't know. Call it what you want to call it. But I really just want to focus more on pumping out the content. Like, that is my goal right now, is pumping out content like that. Okay? Because it's just me and I don't have a team right now, but we have one on the way coming soon. Don't worry. I don't have the capacity to just sit and edit, because that takes away from the time that I could just be creating. So I don't have that capacity. But what I do have the capacity to do, which honestly, doing it like this and just sitting down in front of the camera and talking, it actually trains me to be a better speaker, because I'm not going to edit this. I know that I have to be careful with my words. I have to be careful with what I say. See, I'm already messing up. I have to be careful with what I say, and it just has to make more sense. So it's forcing me to be a better speaker, because y'all are getting the raw, uncut, unedited version. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to really sit down in front of my audience and just have a conversation. Like, consider this to be like a live conversation right now. And I'm just getting thoughts off in my head. But something I've been thinking about is July 28th. It's going to be August. The year is flying by. And something that I have been thinking about today, and where my life has recently been going into, or not going into, because I mean, I've always felt this way, but I think coming out of this season that I was just in and going into this new season that I'm in, I really had to just come to the conclusion that when you have a certain calling over your life, there are going to be things that just simply don't feel normal to you. Like, if you have a job, and this is pretty much like the best example that I can give y'all. If you work a traditional job, but your calling on your life is for you to be an entrepreneur, a creator, an innovator, somebody that's going to be able to provide opportunities for other people, your normal work routine and working for somebody else is going to always feel like you're hitting a roadblock. I meant to set a time lapse on this. This is why I said y'all are seeing this raw and uncut, because I'm not editing this. And this is how I be when I'm recording and I got to edit. Like, I wanted to set a timer on this, to stopwatch, because I don't want to make these long, but I'm trying to get into the YouTube algorithm so I can get monetized. Okay. But anyway, like I was saying, when you have a certain calling over your life, you're going to always feel like you're hitting a roadblock, especially when you are putting all of your energy into someone else's company, into someone else's business, into someone else's game plan besides yours. I'm telling y'all, you're going to continue to hit brick walls. It's always going to seem like, okay, I just started this new opportunity. I just started, this new job, a new position that I've been wanting to go after. Cool. Like, congratulations. But what you have to understand is, and I was having a conversation with my best friend, who's also a business owner. We have been close since high school, and we've always had like some of the same similar, like, business goals and stuff like that. But we were having a conversation coming out of this season that I was in. And he was like, do you really think if you were meant to be a worker, like a permanent worker, that you would have these sentiments? No. And I've always thought that, but like the way that he put it into words when we were having a conversation we was having, I was like, dang, you're right. Like, you're so right. And you're just not ever going to be comfortable. Like, people who have accepted that they are workers and they look at life from the lens of, hey, you have to wake up every day, you have to go to work, and this is the only way that you're going to be paid, and this is the only way that you're going to be able to eat and feed your family. Some people's mindsets are just laser focused into that particular way of thinking. They can't see anything else. So them being a part of a system and working every single day and getting up and working Monday through Friday, 40 hours a week, sometimes more than that, because some people work way longer than 8 hours a day, it's normal to them. And it doesn't feel like it's wrong, right? They just automatically assume, well, this is how life is. You got to work. Some people literally think the whole goal or the whole purpose of working is to pay bills. And I don't think like that. I don't subscribe to that way of thinking because I just think that that's absolutely ridiculous. And I've grown my mindset way farther than that concept and that way of thinking. And so there are some people that do think that way. Like, hey, the whole purpose of working is to pay bills. Like, some people don't even think about enjoying their money, investing their money, doubling, tripling their money. They get their check, pay their bills, and that's it. That's all they're thinking about. And they just have conditioned themselves to understand, hey, I have to go to work every day because that's the only way I'm gonna get money. Now see, as a real money getter, like I said, I don't subscribe to that way of thinking because you don't have to. The world provides an abundance of opportunities, and you have workers and you have bosses. Everybody that's a worker has a boss. Okay? If you work for somebody, you have a boss. If you work at a company, you have a boss. So you have to decide what you actually want to be. And I was just trying to figure out, how can I put this into words for some people? Because a lot of y'all are probably in this space right now, or you felt like you've been in this space before. Is it still? Okay. A lot of y'all are probably in this space right now, or you feel like you've been in this space before, to the point where it's like, okay, I know that something is not right about this. Like, it's not that you're lazy, okay? It's not that you're lazy. It's not that you don't want to work. It's not that you just hate working, that you have a negative attitude. Because why is it that when you're working for somebody, you have this attitude, but when you're doing things for yourself, when you're creating content, when you're doing this, when you're doing that, when you're in your creative flow state, you're so much happier? That's not a coincidence, y'all. It's all a part of, like I said, going back to the calling over your life. And, you know, recently I came to this conclusion, and I'm like, you know what? It really just depends on what type of person someone is. Simple as that. It depends on what type of person someone is, and they have to make a decision. Because just like you have workers, like I said, you have creators, you have innovators, and you have producers. That's what I consider myself to be. I'm a creator. I'm very creative. I can sit down just how I am doing right now, talking in front of this camera, and I don't know how many people gonna see this. That's not up for me to worry about, but I just know, okay, if I keep putting out content, keep talking about the stuff that a lot of other people are probably thinking, right? But they don't know how to say it. They don't know how to talk about it. They don't know how to relate to other people. They think when they talk to other people about hating their job or being a part of the rat race and the system, and, oh my gosh, like, I can't even afford to pay my bills, and I'm working all the time, and I don't really have, extra money to go do this, and I can't afford this, and I can't take a vacation. Like, some people feel like they can't even have those conversations with the people around them because everybody around them is conditioned to be a worker. So for me, I'm a creator. I'm a producer. I can sit down and I can talk through my thoughts, and I can put this in a form of a video so people can actually relate to this. And so I understand, number one, the purpose of life in working and the purpose of money, going back to that, it's not just to pay bills. Like, I think we need to get out of that headspace. If you're in that headspace, you need to get out of it. Okay. But the point that I also wanted to make you guys, and this is why I said it's kind of tough, because I know I'm not going to sit and edit this, because I already edit my like regular short form content. But I'm like, look, when it comes to editing these long form videos, y'all just finna get what y'all get. Okay. Because yeah. So when you have a certain calling of your life, like I said, going back to the original point, things are not going to feel normal for you. I have hit a roadblock at every single job I have been at. Not gonna lie to you, okay? And I have always been a diligent worker. I have always been an overachiever. I have always been the one at the company that can analyze a business model and be like, well, I actually have an idea that could bring the company some more revenue. Like, I've always been that person. So it's never been about, hey, I don't want to work for anyone. I've always came in any company, done very well, been a top salesperson. As y'all know, if you've watched my stuff before, I've always been a sales girly. So yeah, but it's never been that. However, I've always gotten to the point of working for a company where it just plateaus. And it's like, oh, this is not fulfilling anymore. Like, I physically get to that point where I'm like, I can't do this consistently every single day anymore for years and years and years and years. Like, I can't imagine doing that for years. And I've stayed at companies for years at a time, you know, stick it out and stuff like that. But I think when it comes a point where it's really affecting your mental health, to the point where you just know, like, I could be making better use of my time, that's when you need to leave. I'm not telling you to go ahead and just up and quit, even though I just did that. I just did that with my last job a couple weeks ago. But, you know, it's all about what you want to do. Like, no one else can tell you what to do. No one in your family can tell you, oh, don't quit, because you want to make sure you have da-da-da in order. And if you do that, then you're not going to have this. You're not going to have benefits. You're not going to have, but you can't look at stuff like that. You have to look at it like, okay, well, if I quit this job that's taking away almost 10 hours of my day, how much time am I going to be getting back to myself, where I can pour those same 10 hours, instead of pouring into somebody else's business, pouring it into myself? That's what you need to be focused on when it comes to that. If you keep having that feeling, it's for a reason. Like, that's the whole purpose and the whole point that I'm trying to make to y'all. If you keep having the feeling of working for somebody, and you keep coming to a point where eventually you start to dread waking up in the morning and clocking in, or you dread just being on the clock. You're working, you're at work, but you're really not even like tuned in. That's how I am. I do very well for a certain point of time, and then I get there and be there for a while, and then it's like one day my reality, my creative brain snaps back into play, and it's like, Malaysia, well, this is not it either. Like, you keep, you know, gearing away from where I want you to be. And so you have to listen to that. I think a lot of people are afraid to listen to that inner voice, because making that decision and deciding, like, you know what, I'm going to do things differently is not just a simple decision. And the real reason why a lot of people stay stuck and stay in uncomfortable situations, or in situations that are just completely draining, is because they don't want to face those fears of the unknown, like quitting a job, quitting an opportunity, saying no to an opportunity, or, you know, just doing things your own way. That is daunting, and it is very scary, but you can't think of it like that. You can't think of it like that, because if you think of it like that, you're going to stay stuck in that environment, or you're just going to stay stuck in that way of thinking and living your life. And before you know it, this is what a lot of older people say when they are in nursing homes and they're on like their deathbeds and they're just like last final days and they're replaying like their life over. They always talk about what they wish they would have done. Wow, if I would have invested into myself when I was in my 20s, I could have had this company and this opportunity was presented to me and I should have took advantage of it, because if I did, I'll be here right now. And who knows where my life would have been. Like, you don't want to be that person that gets to that point in your life and you're like, well, I had the opportunity to go this way and I never did. I just kept pressing forward, and just basically like pushing down the feeling of truly betting on yourself. Like, stop being scary. That's the title of this video. When you see it on YouTube, I hope that's a good little hook. Stop being scary, okay? From me to you, stop being scary. My last job that I just recently left, I worked there for 6 months. Now, when I first started working there, I told myself, I'm only going to be at this place for 6 months. After that, it's going to be time to move on, because I just already know what time it is. So some things happened. I had a major death in my family around like the time that I set for myself. And it was all just confirmation of like, okay, yep, you already said it. You said 6 months. You grieving right now is overwhelming. Like, to even try to come back into this environment and do this with these folks, like, girl. And so I made that decision. Can I sit here and say that it wasn't a daunting decision? No, I would be lying if I said that. And was it something that I was going back and forth with for, a little while? Ultimately, did I know what the outcome of my decision was going to be? Of course. I already knew I was going to do it anyway. But it's making that decision and stepping into the unknown. And that's why it's like, you have to have a plan of at least what you're going to put into motion when you do make big moves like that. I already know that I'm not meant to work for somebody. Like, I'm just going to put it out there. Some people try to make you feel bad about saying like, I'm not meant to work for nobody. I have gotten to that point in my life where I'm like, no, I'm not meant to work for anyone. My brain is too big. Like, it's just, no. Okay. Some people are afraid to admit that. I am not afraid to admit that. I have gotten to that point in my life. I'm 26 years old, and yes, I'm still young, but sometimes, and this is why they tell you to journal, because when you journal and think back and reflect over your experiences, I'll be like, dang, I've actually done a lot of different things. I've worked at a lot of different companies. I have learned a lot of different systems and a lot of different skills and a lot of different things. Yeah. Okay. So it's not like I'm new to the workforce and I'm like, oh, well, you got to put some more sweat equity in before you can say something and come to a conclusion like that. No. So at the end of the day, number one, the first step, and I should have had an outline for this, but again, I told y'all I just wanted to kind of come on here and yap. So no, we're going to keep this organic. Like, this is as organic and raw as you're going to get. Okay. No editing. No, none of that. It's just me sitting down, thinking and picking through the 50 random thoughts that I have. But this is what has really been weighing on me, because I am living in this topic of this video right now. Like, I quit my job and here I am. I'm back in my creative space. I'm back in my creative flow. I'm back making content every day. That role that I was in, I learned a lot. Grateful for the experience. I'm grateful for what I learned, because it was a very, very, very interesting role, but it took away from my creative flow state. I didn't have that for a good 6 months. I had it, but I didn't have the time to continue to indulge in it. And that was a major problem for me. And so I'm like, look, some gotta go. It's not gonna be my creative flow. So yeah. But I encourage all of you guys to really just make a conscious decision of, who are you? Who do you want to be? Where do you want to be? And if what you're doing right now is putting you closer, like every day is putting you closer to where you want to be and who you want to be, cool. Continue to make that work for you. But if you can sit here and analyze your current situation and say, well, you know, I'm losing a lot more time. I'm losing sleep. I'm stressed. Okay. My mental health is taking a dive. Like, if you can sit here and say the cons are outweighing the pros, especially like if you work for somebody. I'm going to keep using that because I think that's the biggest thing. Like, this probably what most people struggle with in their 20s. It's like finding themselves and figuring out what they want to do. So if you can confidently say, hey, yes, I'm getting a job, I'm getting a paycheck and I have a job right now, but look at how much more is taken from me. If it's taking a lot from you, babe, you might need to reanalyze that. And that's going to be up to you to figure out and decide and stand on and make that decision. But just know, if you keep coming to that, and I'm not talking about like in a joking way where people just like, oh, like I just want to quit my job so I can do nothing every day and I just don't want to work. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the people that's like, hey, I got this plan, this plan, this plan. I can execute this. I know how to do this. I'm smart, okay? I have a list of skills and things that I can do. I just don't have the time. I need the resources. I need the time. I need to be able to sit down and blah, 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 blah. But this is in a way, you might need to do some reanalyzing because you are who I'm talking to. And it might feel awkward. It might feel scary at first. You might have to do some things that you really don't want to do. You might have to move back in with your parents to make your dream and your bigger overall goal work. Don't ever think you too big to do something, okay? If you stay small enough, long enough, soon enough, you'll be big enough. That's a quote that I live by. And to me, that just means like, you got to take the overall goal and you got to break it down and go all the way back down to the bottom. And sometimes going back down to the bottom means you got to downgrade your life, okay? You might have to move back in with your mom, move back in with your daddy, move in with a roommate, okay? So you can cut some of your expenses. So if you're not working anymore, I still got money to live. I still got money to eat, take care of myself, pay my bills, but I'm going to cut down the biggest chunk of change that has to come out of my bank account every single month, rent. If that's what you got to do to make your goal work and to make your plan work, because you keep hitting a brick wall, like I keep getting into these jobs and these companies and these positions and I do well for X amount of time and then I just feel like I'm wasting my life away every day. I'm miserable. Like, if you keep getting to that point, because remember, there's some people that don't ever get to that point. They just understand like, hey, I get up, I go to work, I do this Monday through Friday, the weekend comes, yay, I party, I turn up, I get drunk. Sunday, I fake relax, and then I start all over again on Monday. Some people think like that, and they're cool with that, and that's how they're programmed to think. Y'all, my camera overheated. I forgot what I was even saying. I think my last point was, look, if you don't have the mindset of a long-term worker, that's something that you and only you and the Lord, okay, will know. And you'll get the signs, you'll get the feelings, you'll understand like, I am called for more. I'm called to do more. And what I'm doing right now, I feel like I'm going against my calling. I think that's the biggest thing. Like, some people always ask, well, how do I know? I don't know how to take that leap of faith. I don't know if I'm supposed to be doing this. I don't know if I'm supposed to be doing that. To be honest, like, if you quit your job or you walk away from an opportunity or you make a really big decision and you feel like super at peace about it after the fact, you made the right decision. If you make that decision and a whole bunch of, turmoil comes after that, maybe you didn't make the right decision. But I know for me, like during my time of transition and elevation, every time I have decided to walk away from something, and I don't ever consider myself like quitting. I don't even like to use that word, like quitting. No, we're quitters. I'm not a quitter. I'm not a quitter. But graduating on from something, that's how I like to look at it, because every experience that I'm a part of, I learn from it. You should be learning from every experience. You shouldn't ever think of something as a waste of time. But hey, I learned from this. It's time for me to move on and get gone. Long story short, stop being scary. Okay, that's the message for today. That was on my mind. Stop being scary and do what you feel is going to be best for you to do in this moment. You may not have all the answers, okay? Even though you might have a few game plans that you can work, there are still going to be bumps in the road along the way. But would you prefer to endure the bumps in the road as opposed to staying stuck in a permanent, position or a permanent lane and just letting your life pass you by? Like, it's August. Whatever decision has been really like weighing on you, for the past couple weeks, the past couple months, just think, if you don't make the decision now, by Christmas time and the holidays come up, you're going to be like, wow, I probably should have started that in the summertime, in July or June when I was thinking about it. I should have started fresh in August, because now it's Christmas and it's going to be 2027. And here I am still in the same spot. All right. Stop being scary. Stop being afraid to get in the field and really take that next step. But just understand, if you have a certain calling over your life to lead other people, guide other people, create things for people, be a voice for other people. I know that that's one of my callings, is to be a voice for people, to be a simplifier, to motivate people, to speak life into people, to educate people. Like, whatever calling you have, everybody has different callings. But as you get closer to God, you'll start to understand and your calling will come to you. You'll get confirmation of your calling. If you have a certain calling over your life that does not align with where you are, you're going to keep hitting roadblocks. You're going to keep hitting brick walls. You're going to keep facing just so many different things. And it's going to be like, bruh, why and how do I keep finding myself in this position? Why do I keep feeling like this? I just feel like, it's time for you to stop being scary and jump off the porch, okay? So yeah, y'all, I hope y'all enjoyed my first little video back. I really need to get monetized ASAP. Can you even say that? Oh my gosh. Yeah, y'all, I'm trying to get my channel to where it's supposed to be. So my nails are so cute. Yes, you guys, I'm going to be posting more long form content. Like I said, if you want to call this a podcast episode, cool. I'm not, labeling this as a podcast episode, but just know the rebrand of the actual podcast is going to eat down so bad. Like, the visuals, the production, setting the scene for the, it's going to be so good. But for now, we are going to work with what we have. Work with what we got. We got the camera, we got the lights, we got the whole little content set up, and you have me, okay? That's what you need to focus on, and I just want y'all to be here for the growth and the elevation, because you will see the growth and the elevation, all right? Don't ever doubt that. When it comes to me, don't ever doubt that. But I really hope you guys took something away from this video. I know I kind of ramble at certain points, but this is why I said no script. This is straight off the dome, just talking about things that I think through and think about every single day, or the conversations that I have with other people. And at some point in this video, I hope something resonated with you guys, but make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share. Let me know what you thought about the video. And I will definitely see you guys in the next video. I don't know. I don't have a set schedule of when I'm posting. Really just when I sit down, cut this camera on consistently, I always have something to talk about. Like, I have a running list of things to talk about in my phone. That's how I never run out of content ideas. But like I said, I'm back in my long form bag. So yeah, we are going to get this train back going, and we on the journey to 1K subscribers, man. We're at 516, I think. And it's just so much to talk about, y'all. That's why I'm like, look, I can't be sitting here recording and editing and doing all the other things that I need to do right now. I just need to focus on getting the content out, getting my point across. Okay, getting my thoughts out in front of the camera, in front of my audience, no matter how big, no matter how many views I get, that doesn't matter. That's not the point. What matters is sitting down to do something consistently. You don't know what opportunities will come from that. I don't know what opportunities will come from that. And right now, the season that I'm in my life is a season of exposure. The more at-bats you have, the more exposure you have, Malaysia, the possibilities are endless, okay? So hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.